We thought we had seen it all in hip-hop and love, but Kirk Frost and Mess's feud just turned deadly. This is completely crazy, people. Hold on, did Kirk actually set up Mendeecees? Was this some sort of mafia-level ambush captured on camera? Someone might not survive this. The blogs are humming, the streets are talking, and let's just say that nobody is safe because we were leaked. Why is MC suddenly lawyered up and coming for blood, bro? Reveals purported CCTV evidence and some startling receipts that will cause you to reconsider everything you know about Kirk Frost, who is heading for exposure and making. Get your popcorn ready because this plot twist is more outrageous than a season, including desperate power struggles behind the scenes, and most crucially, who is going to lose everything. Let's dissect the chaos, the drama, and the peril of this love and hip-hop conflict between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees, two figures who have been making waves in the industry. Ripples in the worlds of hip-hop and love for all the wrong reasons, but believe me, you weren't prepared for what's about to happen. The tea and the streets are talking is really heated. You assumed it was simply a trivial reality TV drama, but it has turned into something much darker. We're talking about backstabbing. For a moment, let's go back in time. You all know him well. The man has been apprehended. There are covert meetings and actions taking place in the shadows that could alter everything. Mendeecees has always been embroiled in controversy, from his legal disputes to the tumultuous romantic drama with Yandy Smith. Difficulties, but what if I told you that this time he wasn't only coping with a court case or a disagreement at a reunion special? No, this was real life. This was a matter of life or death, and Kirk Frost, a man who has established himself as a successful businessman, a parent, and an all-around cool guy, was on the other side. However, behind Kirk has never been as spotless as he would like you to think, and there have always been whispers from adultery scandals to shady transactions on the cameras. Those skeletons in his closet now appear to be ready to come crashing down because, believe me, sources say. Kirk and Mendeecees have been at odds for months. What began as a straightforward miscommunication has escalated into a full-fledged conflict, and you guys don't play, you won't believe how deep it goes. At first, it appeared to be a normal industrial spat, a dispute over money, and a business that was still failing. But some people stated gibberish, but then things changed. Meetings began to take place behind closed doors, people began to lead the conversation, and then the largest bombshell of them all whispers of a covert attack. Yes, an attack. A coordinated, planned, lethal action with a single, determined goal. Mendeecees out right now. I get what you're thinking, but let me remind you of something. Kirk wouldn't do that because he's not that kind of man. Anything is conceivable when reputations are on the line and egos are hurt, and the most absurd part is that Mendeecees somehow anticipated it. Remember that exclusive CCTV footage? Kirk was planning something behind the scenes, but instead of waiting for it to happen, he chose to change the course of events. Clip that went viral last week and got everyone talking. Well, it turns out it wasn't simply a random altercation. Rather, it was evidence that Kirk's for weeks, individuals had been following me in the hopes that the proper time would come, and that night was meant to be it. But they were surprised by what they saw. Mendeecees was prepared. Now let's dissect this image. Mendeecees is out going about his business, believing that this is just another typical evening, but something doesn't feel right. Perhaps it's because the same car always appears wherever he goes, or perhaps the crowd members appear a bit too familiar, whatever the case may be. His instincts take over, and as he's ready to get into his car, masked men suddenly rush him. There is pandemonium and madness everywhere. Screaming, and just as it appears like Mendeecees might not escape, his security crew intervenes. A fight ensues, fists are exchanged, and someone draws a firearm, and before you know it, the entire incident is captured on camera. This is where things get even more crazy because as soon as the video was released, people began to piece together why those masked men who stormed M's weren't just a bunch of thugs. Instead, rumors on the street claim that they were bound to someone powerful, wealthy, and capable of manipulating events behind the scenes to make things vanish. You can guess whose name kept appearing in those. Hey, Kirk Frost, listen, I'm not sure about you guys, but this doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. And it seems that males felt the same way since when he filed a complaint the very following day, he went straight to the authorities with what he had, and believe me when I say that he did not withhold any information. People with knowledge of the matter said that he gave them all the information, including names, video, and a list of potential witnesses against Kirk. At that point, the real fireworks sprang out because if Kirk had assumed that this would simply go away, he was completely mistaken. I wasn't merely attempting to deal with things behind closed doors. No, he was making this public, which meant that Kirk was now in the hot seat. As you are all aware, this industry operates when there is a scandal. Opens the floodgates, and believe me, this was only the beginning. What people began researching about Kirk, to put it mildly, makes this if you thought that M's filing the complaint was the end of it. You're not prepared for what transpired next, since the problem has gotten even worse. I promise you that Kirk Frost's predicament only got worse after Mendeecees made this public. Kirk was forced to react, but here's sometimes the worst thing you can do while under a lot of pressure is to speak up, and Kirk did just that rather than keeping silent. Kirk took an unexpected step by letting his solicitors handle it, or even by issuing a simple statement like, "I have no involvement in this type of statement." In the midst of a full-blown legal situation, this individual decided it would be a good idea to go on social media and attempt to clarify his name in front of hundreds of people. And when I say that this was a train wreck, I mean that it was a complete catastrophe. To start, Kirk appeared anxious, as if I hadn't slept for 3 days and my lawyer had just warned me that I would be in serious danger. As soon as he began speaking, I don't know where this is coming from. Kirk started, and I have nothing to do with any of these men who are trying to make me out, but I could sense he was fumbling to pretend to be someone I'm not. But the issue is that Kirk never truly refuted the accusations. Now, explain to me why someone would accuse you of planning an attack on you wouldn't say, "That's a lie," right away. Another man. Kirk was merely speaking in sincere, and I had nothing to do with that. Blaming the blogs, accusing the haters, and claiming that individuals were distorting the truth while the comments did not accept it, you seem anxious. When you thought it couldn't get much worse, a viewer commented, Kirk, saying, "Just say you didn't do it. Why all the extra talk?" Yes, Kirk's own wife Rashida appeared in the comments section. Let's just say that she wasn't supporting her husband in this case, since rather than defending, I told you this was going to catch up to you. Excuse me, but what does it mean? The moment people saw that, yeah, it was Kirk's comment that rocked the world. Instagram was in ruins, Twitter went berserk, and blogs began analyzing everything because, let's face it, if your own wife is out there implying that you've been involved in some dubious activities that don't look good, my friend, but this is where it gets. Even Wilder M's wasn't finished when Kirk was out here creating. He was busy and wasn't simply sitting around waiting for things to happen. Instead, he was moving, and the next move, oh, it was a huge one, was making a fool of himself on Instagram Live. One, because a new video appeared less than 48 hours after Kirk's terrible live session, and another bombshell dropped. Let me set the scenario. This tape was perfectly clear and of good quality. It wasn't blurry or just a random surveillance clip from across the street. You mean to tell me that just days before the ambush on Kirk, it depicted him meeting in secret with one of the masked guys from the attack? Means Kirk was seated at a table and engaged in a heated discussion with the same man who was subsequently captured on camera attempting to drag men out. Since the internet went into full detective mode, people have been improving the footage and dissecting it frame by frame. Theories are flying everywhere, and the conclusion that, according to sources, this was not a coincidence. And these sources obtained receipts showing that Kirk had been engaged with the individual he was speaking with. Previously engaged in some serious business, and we're not discussing romance or hip-hop drama. Rather, we're discussing underground, off-the-record sorts of business, and Kirk was seated with him just days prior to the attack on Mendeecees, which wasn't looking good. At this time, the pressure was mounting, and Kirk was losing control of the story. And then, just when he thought things couldn't get much worse, the police, yes, the authorities, came into play. Started an investigation, and when the police had finished their investigation, M's legal team came out to say they had further evidence that they hadn't released yet, and guess what? That indicates they're holding onto the real thing. Meanwhile, Kirk was frantically trying to get things done because it wasn't just the internet anymore. Speaking now, the feds were observing, and believe me, you'd better hope your hands are clean when you're receiving that sort of attention. But here's the thing, you all want to know why Kirk's hands aren't clean, because as this inquiry progressed, more dirt began to surface because of what others began finding out about Kirk's previous view. To put it mildly, could make this scenario even worse than we initially believed. If you thought this was a problem, you haven't seen anything. Listen though, because Kirk still had some leeway until the feds began to poke about, and that's when you know it's true. May have dismissed this as a major misunderstanding and said that it was only a business bus meeting or that he didn't know the individual. But I know once though when police were involved, the door was banged shut because, as you may know, when they begin an investigation, They don't stop at a single offense, and let's just say that this isn't Kirk's first time acting dirty. Since when they took his financial documents, that's when everything started. Began to fall apart because I have a question for you all. How does a man who has been begging to keep his enterprises afloat for years manage to do so? Who has been complaining about his financial losses and now has millions coming in and going out of his accounts? Someone needs to explain that because investigators discovered Kirk had been sitting on a big secret bankroll as soon as they looked into his financials, and guess what? The figures did not make up. We're discussing millions of dollars in consulting fees, sporadic wire transactions, and offshore accounts that keep showing up everywhere. Keep in mind that frightening, it turns out that Kirk had already paid the masked man from the attack. Hold on, what business does Kirk have with paying a man who has been connected to criminal activity? Precisely, and that's when the federal government really started to work because, this isn't just a reality TV show anymore. It's a full-fledged criminal case. Oh no, the allegations they are investigating are serious. We are discussing conspiracy to commit assault. The worst part is that Mrs. knew all along because, guess what? He had a plan. Kirk is done with wire fraud, money laundering, and organized crime links. This man, Mrs., had been preserving receipts for years. He was aware that Kirk had been unclean, that he was acting shaddily, and that the instant Kirk crossed the line, boom, M fired the shot that started this whole takedown, and that's not even the most bizarre part. When folks learned that Kirk was being probed, began talking since everyone knows your dirt when you work in the industry, and all of Kirk's supposed pals turned on him the instant he appeared weak. More stolen texts and phone conversations surfaced, and Rashida even stopped defending him. Yes, his own wife, after anonymous sources began to come forward. She separated herself from him once the police intervened, so the shady remark she made during his Instagram live was only the beginning. Rashida was playing the role of the ride or your wife one moment, and then she was out here telling the media that she didn't know anything. And you all understand that it indicates she is preparing to defend herself because, let's face it, she isn't going down with him. Don't even believe in you anymore. That's it. Kirk felt things couldn't get any worse, but they did since the federal government doesn't just look into things. Kirk's time was up after the arrest, which occurred at precisely 6:45 a.m. on a typical Tuesday. They broke down his doors, stormed his home, obtained search warrants, and took all of his laptops, documents, and hard drives. Drive and Kirk was handcuffed before he could even put on his slippers. Sure, they grabbed him, and as soon as that mugshot appeared online, the memes went nuts since Kirk wasn't caught playing mafia boss and Rashida was going to act like she didn't even know him. I actually played chess throughout that time. Kirk was playing checkers, and let's face it, they weren't mistaken since, Mrs. he left this clean, and not only did he win, but ruined Kirk's pool career, and Kirk, oh sweetie, isn't recovering from this because, as you are aware, the business treats those who are involved in such controversies badly. They remove them. There are no more reality TV agreements, endorsements, or anything else. The irony is that the man who attempted to remove me ultimately removed himself. Because Mrs. is out here winning while Kirk is languishing in a freezing jail cell, and if that isn't the greatest narrative twist ever, I don't know what is, so what do you do? Do you think Kirk did this alone, or was it all part of M's grand scheme? Importantly, what will Rashid do to Kadu next? Let's face it, she isn't remaining here for this madness. Please leave a comment, click the like button, and subscribe if you want more unique tea like this. Oh, and believe me, baby, what we just discovered is just the beginning of the drama. Stay tuned, and there you have it, one of the wildest endings ever. Showdowns in the history of hip-hop, and Love Kirk Frost believed he was untouchable. He might participate in the game, and Reveal Top believed he could put one on quickly. Whilst maintaining his little empire intact, but now observe him face federal charges, a career in flames. Damaged repute, and Mrs. He's reclining while drinking and observing Kirk's demise as if it were the greatest his life's season finale. But the actual, did Kirk deserve this? That is the question. He's finally being caught by his karma, or did I overreact to situations? And not to be overlooked is Rashida. About to leave Kirk in and pack her stuff. The dust, or will she perish or pull a ride? We need you to attempt to save him. Responses, leave your ideas in the comments at this time. I must know who's which side are you on? Don't believe this. The drama is finished because, believe me, the narrative is far from over. So be sure to, if you enjoy this video, Please sign up for the channel and activate alerts because the next bombshell, baby, is going to. Stay locked and shake the industry even more.